Why did my husband stand in a public lobby and let a process server hand me papers while my house keys suddenly stopped working the same morning? How did one friendly neighbor tip turn into a legal result that started today, in front of people who all watched me call him the villain? My name is Evadne Price, and I always said I was a good wife. I said I worked hard. I said I carried the mental load. I said I deserved a little air. When people asked how my marriage was, I smiled and said it was fine. I learned how to smile like that. That morning, the kitchen felt too quiet. The light was grey. The house smelled like toast, but nobody ate. Matthew stood near the sink with his phone in his hand. He did not look at me the normal way. He looked past me, like he was checking the room itself. He asked if I slept well. I said I did. He asked if I had a big day at work. I said it was just busy, nothing special. I watched his face while I spoke. I wanted a reaction, but he gave me almost nothing. His mug was on the far side of the counter, like a small borderline. My mug was near the coffee machine. It looked silly, like two tiny flags of two countries. I told myself it meant nothing. I told myself he was just tired. Still, I felt that little sting. I acted like I did not. Milo came in first, rubbing his eyes. Piper followed, holding her stuffed rabbit. They both looked at Matthew like he was the safe wall in the room. Milo asked what day it was. I said it was a school day, like any other. Piper asked if we could have pancakes. I said not today, maybe Saturday. Matthew asked if I could do pick-up later. I said yes, and I said it like I was doing him a favor. Matthew's phone lit up again. I saw it from the corner of my eye. A calendar reminder flashed for half a second. I only caught part of it, but it was clear enough. Meeting, personal 9:40 a.m. He moved his thumb fast and the screen went dark. I asked what meeting that was. He said it was just something. I said he never told me about meetings like that. He said he did not need permission to have a meeting. His voice stayed calm. That calm made me feel smaller, so I pushed back. I told him he was being secretive lately. He said he was keeping things organized. I said he was acting like I was the problem. He said he was not calling me anything. He kept his words neat, like he was folding them. After breakfast, I walked toward the hallway. I heard a soft click, like a drawer locking. It came from the small office by the stairs. When I stepped closer, the sound stopped. Matthew came out a moment later with his keys. I asked what he was doing in there. He said he was looking for a charger. I said he already had 3 chargers. He said I could count them if I wanted. He said it flat, not joking, not angry. I hated how even his small jokes felt like facts. I needed to leave for work, but I stood in the hallway for an extra moment. There was a new quiet in the house. It made me feel watched, and I did not like that feeling. I liked being the one who watched. Outside, the air was cold enough to pinch. Nora Madsen, our neighbor, was on her porch with a watering can. She watered plants that did not need water. She smiled too wide. She asked how the kids were. I said they were fine. She asked if Matthew was feeling better. I said he was fine too. She asked if we had family in town. I said no. Then she looked past my shoulder at our driveway, like she expected to see someone else. I told her I had to go. She said she understood, and then kept standing there. I felt her eyes follow me as I walked to my car. I told myself she was just bored. I told myself she was harmless. I also told myself that bored people are the worst kind. When I pulled out, I saw her curtain move in her front window. It was quick. It was small. It still landed in my stomach like a stone. At work, my desk felt safe because it was simple. Emails, spreadsheets, calls, things with labels, people with polite voices. I liked that I could be Evadne the capable one there. At home, I had to be Evadne the wife. That version had rules. Janine, my manager, passed by and asked if I was okay. I said I was great. She asked if I could handle the campaign report by Friday. I said yes, of course. She asked if anything was distracting me. I said no. I said it with a bright tone, like a clean shirt. Still, I kept checking my phone. I did not tell myself I was nervous. I told myself I was just planning. Planning is what smart people do. Planning is not guilt. Near midday, my screen filled with numbers, but my mind kept slipping away. I remembered the way Matthew's thumb had covered that calendar reminder. I remembered the drawer click. I remembered Nora's questions. I told myself they were separate things. I told myself I was the only one who could connect dots. I liked that feeling, like I was in control. Then my phone buzzed. I saw the preview without even picking it up. It was from Cole. He wrote that he could come by later, and he asked if the side gate was still easy. My face got warm. My heart jumped in a way it never did for Matthew anymore. I told myself that was proof. Proof that I was alive. Proof that I was not wrong. I replied that we needed to be careful. I did not write the word careful because I cared about Matthew. I wrote it because I cared about myself. On the drive home, I rehearsed what I would say if Matthew asked where I was. I planned a clean sentence. I planned a boring story. I told myself, boring stories are the best ones. Nobody digs into boring. When I got back to our street, a car I did not recognize sat near the curb for a moment. It was not right in front of our house. It was not right in front of Nora's either. It was in the middle, like it was unsure where to belong. The driver stayed inside. I did not see the face. Nora was outside again. She was sweeping leaves that were not even there. She looked up as I parked. She did not wave this time. She just watched. I felt heat rise in me, sharp and mean. Inside, the house was too still again. Milo's backpack sat by the door. Piper's shoes were in a neat pair. Matthew had already gotten them home. He had done it without saying anything to me. That should have been kind. Instead, it made me feel like I was being replaced in my own role. Matthew came from the living room when he heard my keys. He asked if my day was good. I said it was long. He asked if I could help with dinner. I said I would in a minute. He asked why I was late. I said traffic was bad. I said it fast, like speed could make it true. He did not argue. He did not smile either. He just nodded once. The doorbell camera light blinked on the wall panel, a small green dot. I stared at it longer than I should. Matthew noticed and asked what I was looking at. I said nothing, just the time. He said the time was on the microwave too. I walked toward the back door and checked the lock without thinking. My fingers did it on their own. The metal was cool. The click sounded too loud in the quiet house. Upstairs, I heard a short sound from the garage, like the door moving. I paused on the landing. I had thought Matthew was inside. My skin tightened. I did not like not knowing where he was. Then my phone buzzed again, and Cole's message preview lit up. He wrote that he was parked and asked, again, if the side gate was okay. I stared at the message until the screen dimmed. My first thought was to answer fast. My second thought was to check the doorbell camera light again. I told myself that was smart, not scared. Matthew came up from the garage a moment later, wiping his hands with a paper towel. He asked if I needed help with something. I said no. He asked why I was standing by the back door. I said I was checking the draft because the house felt cold. He looked at the weather app on his phone and said it was not that cold. I said the house still felt cold. Milo ran in behind him and asked if he could have screen time. Matthew said yes for 10 minutes if homework was done. Milo said it was done. Matthew asked to see it. Milo brought the folder. It was that simple. I watched them, and I felt irritated for no clean reason. When Matthew made life steady, I felt like my chaos had nowhere to hide. I went to the kitchen and opened the fridge too hard. I made noise on purpose. I wanted someone to ask what was wrong. Nobody did. Piper came in and asked if she could have grapes. I said yes. She asked where Daddy was. I said he was always around, like a shadow. I tried to make it sound like a joke, but my voice did not land right. Matthew asked what I meant by that. I said nothing. Just that he was home a lot. He said he worked from home, so yes, he was home. He said it like it was math. I hated how he always had an answer that sounded normal. Later, when the kids were busy, I stepped into the laundry room and called Talia. I told her I needed a break. She asked what Matthew did this time. I said he was acting cold and weird. She said he always acted weird and asked if I wanted to meet for brunch tomorrow. I said yes right away, because brunch meant people. People meant noise. Noise meant I could breathe. That night, I texted Cole only one sentence. I told him not tonight. I told him I had the kids and it was messy. He sent back a laughing emoji and wrote that he understood. He wrote that he could do tomorrow. I told myself I was being responsible. I told myself I was in control. Matthew moved around the house like a person with a list. He put dishes away in perfect stacks. He checked the doors twice. He cleaned the counters until they looked like a rental. I told myself he was doing it to make me feel guilty. I told myself he wanted to show me I was the messy one. Before bed, he asked if we needed anything for the kids' lunches. I said no. He asked if I could do pickup tomorrow because he had a meeting. I said I would do it. I asked what meeting. He said personal. I said that sounded suspicious. He said it sounded private. I rolled my eyes so he could see it. When the lights were off, I lay awake and listened. I heard his phone buzz once. I heard a soft tap, like he placed it face down. I wanted to ask, but I did not. I told myself asking would make me look weak. In the morning, I dressed extra nice for brunch. I chose my good wife outfit. I put on mascara like armor. Matthew saw me and asked if I had a client meeting. I said no, just brunch. He said okay, and went back to packing Milo's lunch. I took the kids to school. The pickup line was already forming, even in the morning. Parents talked in small circles. I waved at a few people like I belonged. Nora was there too, walking her small dog near the sidewalk. She looked at my car like she was reading a sign. She said good morning. I said good morning back, sharp. She asked if Matthew was traveling this week. I said no. She said she only wondered because she noticed extra movement lately. I asked what she meant. She said she meant deliveries, visitors, the normal stuff. She smiled again, too wide. I felt my face tighten, and I hated that she could do that to me with one sentence. At the cafe, Talia was already seated with two other friends, Jessa and Kira. The place smelled like coffee and sweet bread. The tables were close, so every laugh traveled. That was what I wanted. Talia asked how things were at home. I said Matthew was acting like a stranger. She asked if he was accusing me again. I said he was not accusing, but he was watching. I said he asked where I was, and I said I felt like I lived under a lamp. I did not say why he might watch. I did not say anything about the side gate. Jessa said Matthew always looked serious. Kira said serious men were tiring. Talia said I deserved a man who chased me a little. I nodded, and I let their words hold me up. They asked if Matthew still refused to come out with us. I said he loved to punish me by staying home. I said he acted like he was better than everyone. I said he did not like my friends because they see through him. That last part was a lie, but it sounded good in the air. Talia asked if I wanted to go out tonight. She said there was a rooftop bar with a heater and a view. I said yes, because yes kept the story moving. After brunch, I checked my phone in the bathroom. Cole had sent a message asking if the afternoon was clear. I wrote that I would try. I stared at my own words and told myself I was not doing anything wrong. I told myself Matthew had pushed me there. I told myself loneliness counted as a reason. When I got home, Matthew was in the living room with Milo, building something out of blocks. Piper sat beside them, lining up toy animals. It looked like a picture from an ad. That made me angry, because it made my secrets look uglier. Matthew asked how brunch was. I said it was fine. He asked if I could help Milo with reading later. I said yes, if I had time. He looked at me for a second longer than normal. He asked if I was okay. I said I was great. On the counter, 2 folders sat in a neat pile. One had a label that said Utilities. The other said Bank. The labels were plain. The handwriting looked like his. I touched the edge of the bank folder, like it might bite me. I asked what those were. He said they were household stuff. I asked why they were out. He said he was organizing. I said it felt dramatic. He said it was practical. He slid both folders into a drawer without rushing, like he was putting away silverware. I went upstairs and changed clothes. I told myself I needed the rooftop bar because I needed a break. I told myself Matthew's calm was a kind of cruelty. I told myself I had to protect my own happiness because nobody else would. That night, at the rooftop bar, the air smelled like smoke and citrus. The heater made people loud. Talia ordered drinks and said we should take pictures. I said yes, because pictures are proof. Proof that I was not trapped. Talia made a joke about how I should train Matthew like a dog. People laughed. I laughed too, even though the joke was sharp. Kira asked if he still asked where I went. I said yes, and I said he acted like my boss. I said I was tired of being treated like a suspect. I did not notice Matthew at first. Then I saw him near the entrance, close to the elevator, with Milo's jacket in his hand. Milo was beside him, sleepy. Matthew was there for pickup, not for me. He did not look up at our table. He did not wave. He just signed the check at the hostess stand and left with Milo. Talia snapped a picture anyway. She posted it and tagged me with a caption about freedom. In the background, Matthew's face was visible for a second, calm and blank. People reacted fast, hearts, laughing emojis, comments about me finally living. I watched the screen glow in my hand, and I felt powerful for a moment. Then I saw something small. The notification that Matthew had saved the post. He did not comment. He did not argue. He saved it like it mattered. My stomach turned, but I kept smiling at the table. I lifted my glass and acted like I had won. Inside, I felt the first thin line of fear, like a crack in glass. The next day at work, my desk looked the same, but I felt different. My fingers moved on the keyboard, yet my mind kept jumping to that saved post. I told myself it was nothing. I told myself he only saved it because he was jealous. That story made me feel safer. Janine walked by around mid-morning and tapped the corner of my desk. She asked if I could step into the glass room for a quick word. I said sure, and grabbed my notebook like that would make me look calm. Inside the small room, the walls were clear, so everyone could see us. That bothered me. I liked private talks. Janine asked if everything was okay at home. I said it was fine, just stress. She asked if I had been distracted lately. I said the workload was heavy, but I could handle it. She asked if I had visitors near the building last week and if it caused any disruption. I asked what she meant. She said someone mentioned a man waiting near my car. My face went hot. I said it was probably a contractor friend who needed a quick favor. Janine said she did not need details, but she needed me to keep my personal life from showing up at work. I said I understood. She asked if I needed to adjust my hours. I said no. She asked if I wanted to speak with HR about stress resources. I said no, and I smiled like I was grateful. When I left the glass room, I felt watched. People looked up and then looked away fast. I wanted to snap at them, but I did not. I told myself they were bored. I told myself nobody really cared. I opened a spreadsheet for a report and tried to focus. Numbers usually calmed me. Still, my phone sat near my hand like a small secret. It buzzed twice before lunch. The first time, it was Cole asking if the afternoon was clear. The second time, it was Talia sending a meme about husbands acting like babies. I laughed out loud on purpose so my coworkers would think I was normal. Around lunch, I texted Cole that I could not meet long, but I could meet. I wrote it like a rule, like I was the adult. He replied that he liked that I was careful. The word careful made me feel smart, not guilty. On my way out after work, I took the long route through the parking garage. I looked over my shoulder more than once. I hate admitting that, but it is true. I still think I was right to be cautious. Cole was not in the garage. He was in the small gym lobby next to his studio hallway, leaning near the water cooler like he belonged there. He asked if I was okay. I said yes, just tired. He asked why I looked tense. I said my husband was being strange. He said my husband sounded controlling. I nodded like that was a fact. Cole asked if I wanted to go somewhere quieter. I said I could not long. I said I had to pick up the kids later. He asked if Matthew ever helped with pickup. I said Matthew did it to look like a hero. I heard my own words and knew they were unfair, but I kept going. Unfair words can still feel useful. Cole said I deserved fun. I said fun had a cost. He asked what cost. I said people talk. He said people always talk. I said my neighbor watched everything. He laughed and asked if I lived in a movie. I said it was not funny. He asked if I wanted him to stop coming near the house. I said not forever, just for a bit. He asked if my husband knew. I said no, and I said it too fast. We stood there too long. A woman walked by and looked at us. Cole smiled at her, like it was nothing. I did not smile. I felt like my face could not remember how. When I drove to the school, I arrived a few minutes late. Milo was waiting with his teacher. The teacher asked if everything was okay. I said yes, just traffic. Milo climbed in and did not talk much. Piper followed with her little backpack and asked for snacks. I gave her snacks to keep her quiet. At home, the living room was tidy in a way that did not feel like us. The couch pillows were lined up. The remote sat straight. Matthew was at the table with Milo's workbook open. He asked if pickup was fine. I said yes. He asked why Milo looked upset. I said he was tired. Milo said he did not like when people talked about us at school. Matthew asked what he meant. Milo said some parent said his mom was always out. I laughed once, sharp. I said kids repeat anything. Matthew did not laugh. He asked who said it. Milo did not know. Matthew said okay and wrote something down on a small notepad by the fridge. I asked why he was writing. He said he was keeping track of what stressed the kids. I said that was dramatic. He said it was responsible. I told him he acted like I was a case file. He said he acted like a parent. His voice stayed even. That even voice made me want to push harder. I told him he was cold lately. He asked what I wanted from him. I said warmth. He asked what warmth meant. I said affection and kindness. He said he was kind. I said kindness was not the same as wanting me. He looked at me like he was tired, not angry. He asked if I was trying to start a fight. I said no, I was trying to fix us. After dinner, I walked past the small office again. The door was half closed. I saw a thin line of light. I heard a steady sound, low and rough. It took my brain a second to place it. It was a shredder. I stopped on the landing and listened. The shredder paused, then started again. I wanted to walk in and demand answers. Instead, I stayed still. My hands felt cold. I told myself he was shredding junk mail. I told myself I was being silly. A minute later, the sound stopped. Matthew came out with a small trash bag. He asked if I needed something. I said no, I was just going upstairs. He asked why I looked pale. I said I did not feel well. He said I should rest. He walked past me and took the bag to the garage. Later, when he went to put Piper to bed, I stepped into the office. The desk was clear except for his laptop. The screen was on. A spreadsheet was open. No title showed. Just rows of dates and times. I saw a column that looked like locations, and another that looked like notes. My throat tightened. I did not touch anything. I just stared long enough to feel my heartbeat in my ears. Then I heard his steps in the hallway, and I backed away like I was the one doing something wrong. In the kitchen, I tried to act normal. Matthew asked if I locked the back door. I said yes. He asked if I checked the side gate. I said I did not even use it. He looked at me for a second, then nodded once. That night, my phone buzzed under my pillow. Cole asked if tomorrow was better. I did not answer right away. I stared at the ceiling and listened to Matthew breathe beside me, slow and steady, like he could sleep on truth. In the dark, I told myself he was punishing me with silence. I told myself he wanted me to feel trapped. I told myself I had no choice but to keep my own life somewhere else. Then I turned my phone face down, like Matthew had done, and tried to sleep. The family dinner was Ruth's idea, and she announced it like a solution. She called in the afternoon and asked if we could all meet at the restaurant near the highway. She said it was easier for everyone. She said the kids needed normal. I agreed too fast, because I wanted witnesses. I wanted people to see Matthew's cold face and decide I was the one suffering. Matthew asked if I really wanted to go. I said yes. He asked if I wanted him to drive. I said no, I could drive the kids. He said he would meet us there after he finished a task at home. I asked what task. He said house stuff. I wanted to push, but Milo was listening in the back seat, so I swallowed it. At the school pickup line, Milo climbed in slow. Piper climbed in loud. She held up a paper crown and said she was a princess today. Milo did not smile much. He stared out the window and picked at a loose thread on his sleeve. I asked if anything happened at school. He said nothing. I asked if he was sure. He said he was sure, but his voice sounded thin. Piper asked if we were going to Grandma Ruth's. I said yes. Piper clapped, then asked if Daddy would come too. I said yes, and I tried to make my voice bright. While we waited to turn out of the line, my phone buzzed. It was Danny. She asked if I was okay and if I wanted her to come to dinner. I said yes because having Danny there meant someone on my side. Danny replied that she would come, but she did not want a scene. I told her there would not be a scene, even though I did want one. When we got home to change, the house smelled like cleaner again. Matthew had done it. The counters shined. The floors looked too empty. On the kitchen counter, a sticky note sat by the fruit bowl. It said, "Bring forms," in neat handwriting. I stared at it as if it might turn into a clue I could use. I asked Matthew what forms he meant. He said it was nothing for me. I said it was my home too. He said it was still nothing for me. He picked up the sticky note, folded it once, and put it in his pocket without drama. That small move made me feel like I was not even part of my own life. In the car, Milo asked if we were going to be late. I said no. He asked if Grandma Ruth was mad at Mommy. I said no, Grandma Ruth just cared too much. He looked at me like he wanted to believe me and could not. At the restaurant, the long table was already set. Ruth and Graham were there first. Ruth stood when she saw the kids, hugged them, and then looked at me like she was checking my face for cracks. Graham shook Matthew's hand when Matthew arrived, then nodded at me with a calm that felt like distance. Nora was outside near the entrance when we walked in. She held her purse tight, like she was coming from somewhere important. She smiled at Ruth and greeted her by name. Ruth greeted her back like they already knew each other well. My throat tightened. I asked Ruth how she knew Nora. Ruth said Nora had mentioned something on a walk and had been worried about the neighborhood. Ruth said it like a polite cover. I heard what she did not say. I felt heat flood my chest. Danny arrived a few minutes later and hugged me, but her eyes slid to Matthew. She asked him if he was okay. He said he was fine and thanked her for coming. That made my skin prickle. I did not like them acting like he was the fragile one. At the table, Ruth asked about the kids' school projects. Graham asked Milo about his favorite book. Piper showed her paper crown. Everyone laughed at Piper. I watched Matthew laugh softly too, and it bothered me because it looked real. I wanted him to look worse. I needed him to look worse. Ruth asked how work was for me. I said it was busy. Graham asked if we were taking any family trips this year. I said maybe, if Matthew stopped being difficult. Matthew looked at me for a second and asked what I meant. I said he was always tired, always too responsible to have fun. I aimed that line at the whole table so they would nod with me. Ruth asked if we were getting along at home. I said we were trying, but Matthew shut down and made me feel lonely. I said he punished me with silence. I said I had been carrying the emotional part alone. I watched Ruth's face as I spoke, waiting for sympathy. Ruth asked if Matthew agreed with that. Matthew said he did not want to argue at dinner. He said the kids were there. He said he wanted them to eat in peace. His voice was steady, and it made me look like the messy one. I hated him for that, even though I told myself I was the reasonable one. Danny asked me if I had been sleeping. I said no, because Matthew's mood made the house tense. Danny asked if I had tried talking to him calmly. I said I had, but he turned everything into a logic lecture. I looked at Matthew while I said it, hoping he would react. He did not. Graham asked what I wanted, exactly. I said I wanted respect and warmth. He asked what respect looked like. I said it looked like not questioning me all the time. Matthew asked quietly, when he questioned me. I said he always asked where I went and who I was with. Matthew said he asked because schedules mattered with kids. I said he used the kids as an excuse to control me. Ruth's mouth went tight. She asked if I was hiding something. I laughed like the idea was silly. I said I was just tired of being treated like a suspect. Ruth said, very calm, that people only feel like suspects when there is something to suspect. I felt my face burn. I tried a softer angle. I said Matthew had changed and stopped being affectionate. I said he treated me like a roommate. I said any woman would struggle like that. Danny shifted in her chair. She did not nod. That hurt more than Ruth's stare. Matthew asked if we could keep adult talk away from the kids. I said I was not the one making things heavy. He said he was not making anything heavy either. He said he was asking for boundaries. Ruth nodded at him. Milo suddenly asked if we were getting divorced. His voice was small, and he looked at his plate like he did not want to see the answer. Ruth reached for his hand and asked who said that word around him. Milo said he heard it at school and at home. My stomach dropped. I said nobody was getting divorced. Matthew said carefully that adults were handling things and Milo was safe. Ruth said the same, steady and simple. In the car afterward, Milo asked if he needed to pack a bag, like last time when we stayed at Aunt Danny's after a big fight. I said no, and I told him he was being dramatic. The word came out too sharp. Piper repeated it from the back seat and asked what dramatic meant. At home, I walked up the stairs and felt like the house had changed shape. On the landing, Matthew's phone buzzed on the table by the wall. I glanced down. It showed a missed call with no caller ID. There was no name, no number, just an empty space where a person should be. Matthew came from the kitchen and saw me looking. He picked up the phone and slid it into his pocket. I asked who called. He said it was nothing. I asked why nothing had no caller ID. He said it did not matter. I said it felt secretive. He said he had not asked me about my phone in a long time. I went quiet at that because he was right, and I hated that too. Later, when the kids were in bed, I stood at the bottom of the stairs and listened to the house settle. Matthew moved in the small office again. I heard a drawer click, the same soft lock sound. I wanted to storm in and demand answers. Instead, I stayed where I was and told myself I was the victim here. I still told myself I was right. I still told myself everyone was turning against me because Matthew played calm so well. But for the first time, the calm did not look like weakness. It looked like a plan I could not see. I woke up the next day with a tight jaw and a tired kind of anger. It felt like I was losing the room, even inside my own house. Matthew moved like nothing was wrong. He made breakfast, signed a school form, and wiped the counter. He did it all without looking for praise. That calm made me feel like my stories were not landing anymore. I told myself I had to push. If he stayed quiet, people would start thinking he was the mature one. I could not let that happen. I needed him to react so I could point at it and say, "There, that is the real man." In the kitchen, I asked why he ignored me at dinner. He said he did not ignore me. He avoided a fight in front of the kids. I said he acted like I was unsafe to talk to. He asked what I wanted. I said I wanted him to stop acting like I was guilty. He said he had not used that word. I said he did not need to use it. His face said it for him. Milo came in and asked if we could have a normal day. Matthew said yes, and asked Milo to pick a snack for school. Milo looked relieved at Matthew's voice. That small thing made me jealous, and I hated myself for that, so I pushed it outward. I told Milo he did not need to cling to his dad all the time. Matthew asked me not to speak to Milo like that. I said I was only teaching Milo confidence. Matthew said confidence did not need sharpness. I rolled my eyes and said he was always turning me into the bad guy. He did not argue. He just packed the lunches. After school drop-off, I drove to work and kept rehearsing the next move. I decided I would talk to Talia at lunch and set up another group night. If people saw me laughing, they would assume I was fine. If they assumed I was fine, they would assume Matthew was the problem for being cold. That was my logic. It still sounds smart in my head, even now. At work, I pretended to focus, but I kept checking my phone. Cole had sent a short message asking if I was okay. I did not answer right away. I wanted him close, but I also wanted him not to exist on my screen. I told myself that was balance. Janine walked past my desk and asked if I had the report ready. I said yes. She asked if I could avoid personal calls during work hours. I said I did not take personal calls. She looked at me like she did not believe me, but she smiled anyway. That smile felt like a warning, and I pretended it was not. On the way home, I stopped at the supermarket even though we did not need much. I wanted a timestamp for my own comfort. I bought milk and fruit and kept the receipt. I told myself it was normal to keep receipts. I told myself I was organized. I did not tell myself the real reason, which was that I felt like facts were starting to matter. When I got home, Matthew was in the living room helping Milo with homework. Piper colored at the table. The house looked staged again. I asked if he was trying to show me up. He asked what that meant. I said he was acting like a perfect dad to make me look worse. He said he was acting like a dad, and that was all. I told him I needed to go out later for air. He asked where. I said with friends. He asked which friends. I said he did not get to screen my friendships. He said he did not want to screen anything. He wanted to plan dinner and bedtime. I said he was using the kids to control my schedule. He said he was using the schedule to keep the kids stable. I laughed and told him he sounded like a pamphlet. He did not laugh back. That evening, Talia came by with a coffee, uninvited, like she owned the sidewalk. She talked loud in the driveway so Nora could hear. I let that happen. I wanted Nora to hear that I had allies. I wanted her to feel outnumbered. Talia asked how the Cold War was going. I said Matthew was being dramatic and quiet and acting like a saint. Talia said men loved to play saint when they were guilty. I nodded, even though that made no sense. Matthew walked out to take the trash to the bin and did not look at us. Talia called his name in a teasing tone. He glanced over and asked if she needed something. She said she only wanted to check if he still knew how to smile. He said he smiled plenty, just not on request. That should have embarrassed her, but she turned it into a joke. She told me I should post more, show the world I was free. I said maybe I would. Inside, I opened my social app and posted a photo of my coffee and my shoes by the doorway, like I was about to go somewhere fun. I did not mention Matthew. I did not mention the kids. I let people fill in the blanks. That is how you control a story. You don't lie big, you hint. Matthew saw the post later. He did not comment. He did not ask me to delete it. He only said calmly that Milo had soccer practice tomorrow and Piper had a class photo day. He asked what time I could be home tonight. I said I did not know. He said he needed an estimate. I said he needed to stop acting like my manager. He said he only needed a time so the kids would not wait by the window. I said he was being manipulative by using the kids' feelings. He said he was being direct. I said direct was another word for controlling. He sighed once, very quiet, and that sigh made me want to win harder. Later, after the kids went to bed, I walked past the small office and smelled toner. It was faint but real, like a printer had been used too much. The door was almost closed. I pushed it open and saw the printer tray slightly out. A single sheet sat there, blank. It looked like a mistake, like someone had tested a print and pulled the page too fast. Matthew came into the hallway and asked what I was doing. I said I thought I heard something. He asked if I needed help. I said no. I needed answers. I asked why the printer was on. He said he printed something for Milo's school. I asked why the page was blank. He said it fed wrong. I asked why he did not tell me. He said he did not think a printer needed a report. On the desk, I saw a small USB drive with a strip of tape on it. The tape had a date written in his neat handwriting. I pretended I did not see it. I asked why he was suddenly so organized. He said he had always been organized. I just did not care before. That line landed deeper than he meant, I think. I felt my chest tighten. I wanted to cry, but I also wanted to punish him for making me feel small. I chose anger because it feels like strength. I told him he was making the house cold on purpose. He asked what I wanted him to do. I said I wanted him to fight for me. He asked what fighting looked like. I said it looked like passion, like chasing me, like proving I mattered. He said he would not chase someone who ran. I stepped closer and asked if he even wanted me anymore. He said he wanted peace for the kids and clarity for himself. I said clarity was a cruel word. He said confusion was worse. I tried one last push. I told him that if he kept acting like this, people would see him as the reason the family broke. He looked at me for a long moment, not angry, not scared, just steady. Then he said he would handle things properly. He said it with the same calm voice he used when he explained homework steps to Milo. He did not raise his voice. He did not insult me. He only said he would handle it properly. I went to work like I could outwalk the tension. I kept my face bright, and I told myself Matthew's properly line was just a scare word. He liked to sound calm and serious. That was his whole thing. Around mid-morning, he texted and asked me to meet him in the office tower lobby near my building. He said it was about the kids' schedule. I wrote back that he could just call. He replied that it was better in person and that it would be quick. I told myself he was finally going to talk like a husband. I told myself he missed me. I even fixed my hair in the bathroom mirror, which makes me mad to admit. When I walked into the lobby, I saw him standing by a bench with a small folder in his hand. Ruth was there too, not close enough to touch him, but close enough to show support. That already felt wrong. Matthew never brought an audience unless he had a reason. He asked if I was ready to be calm. I said I was always calm. He said he needed clear rules starting today. I said rules were what controlling men wanted. He did not react to that word. He only nodded once, like he had heard it before and filed it away. Then a man in a plain jacket approached and asked if I was Evadne Price. I said yes, and I tried to sound annoyed, like I was too busy for strangers. He said he had documents for me. I asked what documents. He said he was a process server. I laughed once, sharp, and asked if this was a joke. Matthew looked at the floor for a second and then back at me. He said he told me he would handle things properly. He said it like it was weather. The server handed me papers. I did not want to take them, but he held them out, and people were looking. A security guard by the desk turned his head. A woman waiting for the elevator watched with her mouth slightly open. My hands moved on their own and grabbed the stack. I skimmed the top page and saw words that made the air thin: divorce petition, temporary orders, and a date that was today. I told myself it could not be real if I did not read it. I still read it. Matthew said the temporary plan started now. He said it covered communication and parenting exchanges, and it set limits around the house. He said he would follow it exactly. He did not threaten me. He did not insult me. He spoke like a person explaining a policy. I asked if he was seriously doing this in public. He said he was keeping it clean and documented. Ruth said nothing. Her silence felt like